Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here at 6 o'clock on the 14th of May. And we are here today with Dr. Kiltz and Rick Rodriguez. Oh, I got an echo here.
We can hear you. We're on. I've got Kilt's Mighty Tribe on separately. We still haven't figured out how to get it here, but we're on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X.
All righty. Alias traveling to final destination, Meatstock in Tennessee.
Just one stop on the journey.
What are we giving away today, Dr. Kiltz? What do you think?
Book, our Keto Carnivore book. What do you think?
Sure.
Rick, that good?
We gave one yesterday.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So we'll give a Kiltz Keto is Carnivore. Okay. And hashtag is Charger. Okay.
Charger. Hashtag. Rock on. Nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dodge.
Yep.
What year? What year is the best year?
1969. I got like 4 of them.
Nice. I had a Oldsmobile 442 67. That was my, and I rebuilt the engine, the whole car several times. I was a grease monkey.
Oh, and yeah. I still am.
And I had a 66 Bug. I rebuilt it all the time. I loved it. And yeah, no, it's great. It's great. So
my dad, when I was growing up, my dad was always a General Motors guy. So every car he bought, and I remember all of them while I was alive, but they were either Chevrolet Impalas or Buick. We had a Buick LeSabre, we had a Buick Skyline, we had a Buick Regal, a couple of Chevrolet Impalas. For some reason, he never bought Chrysler or Ford cars.
That's all I've had.
Yeah, my favorite was the Oldsmobile 442. And I used to drive my grandmother's 62 Impala white. And I grew up in LA in the lowrider or the souped up car time.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good. It was good. By the way, I've got Instagram on separately for Dr. Kiltz because I don't see it up here. So I just went ahead and turned it on. So those people that are on Instagram may not be able to see. And also on our, I've got our Kiltz Mighty Tribe here, and we're still working on figuring ways to get it all in one spot. But now I missed you, Rick. You were on last week or the week before?
Week before.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it. I think I was traveling in way down under.
Yes, and so far, last time I looked at the stats, Dr. Kiltz, 3 times more views than our regular lives in the morning.
Well, Rick's just going to be the regular.
Yeah.
There you go.
So 2 things. If you have questions for Rick, a lot of people here do know him, and he's been carnivore for 40 years or over that.
41.
And I was backstage. I was talking to him about he used to teach. So tell us a little bit more about that. You used to teach at a college, and you're an electrical engineer.
Yes. Electrical engineer. I taught at Miami-Dade College. They hired me in the year 2000. And I started off teaching Bell South students when they were trying to get their certificate. And then they moved me into the classroom. I taught introduction electronics, all the basic classes, taught some of the more advanced classes, but it was basically electronics and computer repair and networking, which are things that I had done already. So And I taught there until, what was it, 2013, when they changed the program. So I was there about 13 years. And I was well liked by the students. It's a shame that they changed the program, but when I was there, it was popular, and I always had a talent for being able to teach people how to fix things. And it's kind of the story of my life. I've always been a problem solver. I tell everybody, when you grow up poor, you have to be clever. And to this day, it's kept me afloat, because otherwise I'd be dead in the water. But I enjoy solving problems. In fact, if you look around my house, everything is old, but I keep it running because it's kind of interesting. See, I don't like to spectate. I don't like sports. I don't like movies. I don't like any of that stuff because I get bored very easily. So I would rather be doing something, building something, repairing something. I even built my own house in the past. So I like to do things. Plus, I have a lot of energy. That's the other problem. It's very difficult for me to sit still very long because I'll just lose interest. So, but yeah, that I did that for 13 years.
Is that still a choice for you if you wanted to go back to doing some teaching?
Well, the problem is, since I only have a bachelor's degree, I never got the master's degree. And college today is the degrees are a dime a dozen. So everybody has master's, doctorate, whatever, and they're not afraid to go into debt. I refuse to go into debt. I wasn't even going to go to college. The only reason I did go to college is because I had a scholarship. When I was younger, my grades were poor, so I never really thought I would ever go to college. But by the time I got to high school, I went from like 2 point something to 4.0. And then after that, it was, well, if you want to go to college, you can get it for free. And then I went to the junior college. And then when I went to the university, everything was pretty much straight A's. So scholarship, I just kept going. But when I got to the 4-year degree, I decided I had to work. And then we had Hurricane Andrew the year after I had finished. Well, actually, the year that I did finish. So that kind of turned everything upside down. But if there was still a school that would hire somebody with a bachelor's degree, I would do it because I've always been good in the classroom.
The online university is our new school today. So I think we're all joining Rick and just listening and learning from him every day and sharing, because I think, so look at Jordan Peterson and Peterson University. So it's saying enough of the brick and mortar, we can be here and do it online.
Well, that's true. And the other thing is, a lot of it is just this accreditation nonsense. They tend to put the paper that you get on top, and the life experience, that doesn't even matter. So you could be very, very experienced in a particular field or skill, and they don't even look at you because they figure, well, you don't have the paperwork behind it. So anything where the government mandates some kind of a degree, this is where you basically cut everybody else out. But even the same thing in the trades. A lot of places, if you want to start a business, you have to have a certain amount of experience or training to get a license. And then you basically exclude all these people. But people that are artistic or people that have a natural talent, I mean, even in the software realm, which is one of the things I don't like writing code. But there's been a lot of people out there that have learned how to code at home, and then they outperform people that have been through computer science. So I know that in our system, there seems to be this incentive. And I think a lot of it just comes from the financial system because they want everybody in debt and they want control. So the people at the top, they want to control the narrative. And if you can get everybody funneled into the system, so you have to go through us to become one of us, then we can weed out the ones that are independent thinkers and get rid of them. And then just have all the ones that are willing to follow the system in there, and they're easier to control.
We got a few questions already, so I'm going to read this. How are Rick's teeth? Uh, do you have any problems with your teeth right now, Rick? Or
Well, let me tell you the story about my teeth. My bottom teeth are very crooked because when I was growing up, my teeth came in, my jaw wasn't big enough. So they were like indented. And I have 2 cavities from when I was a kid. They're up top, but I don't have any in the bottom.
I'll be right back.
No. And the last time I went to a dentist was in 1986. That was back when Dr. Greenstein was down the street. Now, that's not even a dentist office anymore. I think it's like a medical center with some dental. So I really don't know. But what I can tell you, my teeth don't hurt. I think they're pretty strong. The one in the front is chipped because I got into a fight when I was in junior high and it got broken, but it's actually grown out. It was fixed by the dentist back in the 1980s, and the filling fell out sometime when I turned 30, which was like 1998, but I never bothered to get it filled. And I have a chipped tooth. When I was eating an iguana one time, it had some buckshot in it and it cracked my tooth. But other than that, my teeth seem to be okay. And, I don't even use toothpaste. I basically brush my teeth with baking soda and lard. And I don't think they look too bad because when I compare it to other people my age, they all have, they have the dental work, they have the crowns, the root canal, and all that. And in my life, the only canal is the one that has ducks and iguanas. So I think my teeth are okay.
That's your whitening toothpaste, the lard.
Well, I don't know if my teeth they might be white. They're not bad. I mean, again, I know people that do a lot of things to their teeth. And again, when I was a kid, I refused to have braces because when we went to the orthodontist, and this was early 80s, and they said they would have to pull the teeth in the back, the wisdom teeth, and then they have to put the braces on there. And I really didn't like the idea of having those things glued to my teeth and then all the things I'd have to do. So I thought, you know what? Who cares? I would just see what happens. And the funny thing is, the upper teeth, when the wisdom teeth grew in, they did not get stuck. The ones on the bottom are a little crooked, but the ones on the top grew in perfectly straight. And I think that once I had switched to the carnivore diet as I was growing up, the upper teeth, see, they came in straight. But look at how crooked the bottom ones are. The bottom ones came in first, but these upper ones came in when I was on the carnivore diet. So I have a feeling maybe that helped.
I'm not a dentist, but my impression is we do have more problems with space and the lower teeth, the lower jaw, than the upper teeth. You're muted, Dr. Kills. I muted you.
Let's see.
Here you go. Now you can talk.
Oh, sorry. I had to step out a minute. Tia called me. She's traveling in France. So sorry about that. Well, if you look at Kevin Stock stuff, and you look at oh my God, what am I thinking? It'll come to me. But Kevin Stocks talks a lot about this, but it's all our plant-based diet, which basically which doesn't allow which damages our teeth. It softens our gums. And that's been one of our problems. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys.
Yep. I've never had any gum issues, thankfully.
Zinc 316. Thoughts on raw milk. Trying to put on weight as I'm a little underweight. What do you think, Greg?
I used to drink raw milk. At one time, South Florida was a dairy intensive area. We had a lot of cow pastures, but I haven't drank any milk since I was 20 years old because when I turned 20, I figured that I was pretty much done growing up and I stopped drinking milk. So the only dairy products that I have that I use, I make my own yogurt and I eat cheese, but I haven't consumed milk for a long time.
So you do have some dairy, but not liquid.
Right. Yogurt and cheese. That's it.
All right. Let's see. Rick seems to like chicken better than beef. Is there enough nutrition to consume mostly chicken, bacon, and eggs? Well, you do have a lot of ground beef, I believe, right?
Yes. I eat at least 2 pounds of beef per day, whether it's ground beef or steaks or whatever. Then I also have chicken. I'll have, seafood. I'll have whatever I can find, duck, iguana, whatever I can get my hands on. The thing about me, I eat a lot. I eat anywhere from maybe 4 to 6 pounds of meat per day. I used to eat a dozen eggs a day, but now I'm only eating 2 because eggs are so expensive. And I've been collecting duck eggs from the canal. So they're pretty big. So I usually have maybe 2 eggs, but it's
They're
not so much
harder.
that yeah.
Sorry, egg I bought some dog eggs some time ago, and I found out they were so much harder to crack.
Oh, yes. Especially the ones that are by the canal. And if you think about it, they sit on the eggs all the time. And I've seen ducks even mate and fight on top of the eggs, and the eggs don't break. So ducks have to have thicker eggs. Plus, ducks are often wet. They go in the water and then they sit on the eggs. So they need to have a thicker eggshell to be stable.
All right. Oops, what did I do? Okay. Let me get rid of this question. Does he have chest food? I don't know what that means.
I don't either. Strange.
Okay.
You carry a chest around with you?
You mean like portable food? I cook on the engine.
What's your snack? What do you snack on?
I don't. Why would I snack?
How many meals a day do you eat?
3 meals.
And do you do any fasting?
No, I don't fast. As skinny as I am, I would never fast.
And you know how tall he is, Dr. Kiltz, right? He's a foot taller. He's a foot taller than you and me.
He's a
whole
short
foot.
guy. Short guy.
Yeah.
That's because he was eating meat in his adolescence. A lot of it.
Well, you should see how short I was in junior high. You can look at my YouTube page and see a picture of me before I started the carnivore diet. The girls were bigger than me. When I got to high school, straight up.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was just eating plants, so it kept me planted, and yeah. I ate some steak from time to time, but it was lean, but it was mostly pasta, salad, all that stuff.
Ugh.
All that good stuff.
I have pocket lights in the kitchen. Why would 1 or 2, and they take turns, flicker and weaken, even when the bulb is fairly new? Any ideas? Thank you.
Well, I don't know what you mean by pocket lights. I don't know if you're talking about those hi-hat fixtures that have the screw-in bulbs. I mean, they could be the little fluorescent ones with the push-in bulbs or the LEDs. If it's the LEDs, those things are just not that well made. They're mostly made in China, and they usually have bad solder joints. So you may have to replace them. But on the other hand, some of them use a central power supply. So I don't know what kind of wiring you have. You have to see if they're high voltage lights or low voltage. If they're low voltage, you'll want to get in there with the meter and check and see if you got the full 5 or 12 volts. But if they're high voltage lights, it could just be the light units. And what happens is they heat up, they start to lose connection. And then you just may have to replace them. In my house, I use incandescent bulbs. I use the old Durotest traffic light bulbs, and I haven't had to replace one of those in more than 25 years. I also have neon that I made myself in certain parts of the house. So at nighttime, that's what I use. And you can kind of see it over here. So I've got some neon and some argon that I made, and this was back when I was a teenager. So, and that stuff works pretty well. But that's what I would do. I would check that and see, because it could be temperature related failure. I know what you mean.
By the way, last night I almost cracked a tooth chewing on I was eating a ribeye steak, and it had still some bone in, and a little piece of bone had previously cracked, I guess, when they cut it. So when I took a bite, I bit on the piece of bone. Thankfully, it wasn't too hard. They didn't crack my tooth, but could have been a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Instagram on. I've had to cut it out a couple of times. I just wanted to tell everyone that we're on our YouTube, Facebook, where you can kind of get some direct questions also. So if you want to come over, and the same with Kilt's Money Tribe, we got our brother Rick at Charger Charger Mopar on sharing his energy. Been a carnivore for like your whole life, pretty much.
Well, I mean, I'll be 57 in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, it's been most of my life.
Since adolescence, yes?
Yeah,
Teenage and
since I was
adolescence.
15. When I was 15, I did it. I basically did it to get back at my health conscious dad because he was always with the whole grains and the juices and all the nasty stuff. So I just did it to get even. It was sort of a form of protest, and I never stopped.
Not knowing there was actual health benefits to it at all. And it ultimately is our primal diet. And we're just basically dying from propaganda.
Well, I never really knew that until 93 when I tried to grow plant based for 7 months and then it tore me up. And then after that, I realized, yeah, this is actually healthy for me. But I was convinced that I was the exception to the rule. That was the only person in the world that could live like this and not die of a heart attack. But anyway, that's that's been my experience.
Well, are you physiologically and biologically different than other human beings?
I hope not.
Well, I always wonder why we say we're all different. Is that even true? It's like all mice are different, right? All
Well,
rabbits
we
are different.
all look different, we all act different, and there's nobody else in the world that even looks like me. So I do believe I am different in some ways, but and I don't think that every human being needs to be carnivore. I have a friend that grew up plant-based. He tried to go carnivore, didn't do so well. So, but he added in certain plant material, continued to eat mostly meat and eggs, and he's doing absolutely great. So I think some people have adapted to eating plant foods and they can tolerate it, but I don't think anyone should eat modern processed food. I think that I call it duck food. That stuff is garbage. The bread, the pasta, and the desserts especially. They have these bakeries around here, and those places turn my stomach. And when you see the kind of people that go in there, they look terrible. And on top of that, sitting there eating cake and bread and all that, it's just not very appealing. I'd rather see a place where everybody's eating steak and maybe, birds, eggs, whatever, fish, seafood, all that stuff. Plus, I compare myself to other people I know my age, and I'm the only one that can like bend in different positions. I don't have any aches or pains, and I've never had any chronic issues. I'm the only person I know that's never been on an antibiotic, never been on a prescription, and hasn't been to a doctor since like 1998. No, 96? I think it was 96. I know I was 28 years old at the time when they told me I had the highest cholesterol he had ever seen. And when I looked at the doctor, the way that he was, he couldn't talk more than a minute without breathing hard. And he had a big neck. He looked terrible. And I had to tell him, I said, look, if you're so healthy, why do you look like that? Of course, that's the easiest way to offend somebody. If I'm going to go to a doctor, I want a doctor who's lean and active and who can talk and who can keep a coherent thought for longer than this much. So I don't know. That's just me. I think that a person should be an example of what they're promoting and not just talk about it.
Has
Here's a
Rick ever
question. I've got a
has Rick
question
ever
for
had?
this.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've been carnivore for a month now, and even though I take electrolytes, I sometimes get night cramps.
Uh,
I've never had a cramp in my life.
I get
Cramps
them
very often
occasionally.
are a result of hydration issues, whether you're drinking too much water or too little, and maybe if you're drinking fluids, you may need to supplement with some electrolytes. A month carnivore, it seems that at the beginning, most people do need to be a little bit more concerned about the electrolytes. Many people, after many years, they don't need to. Rick doesn't use any electrolytes, right?
Not at
Uh,
all.
I have found myself I need to get magnesium on a regular basis to avoid the cramps. Uh, and I do pretty well with just I take magnesium regularly and I salt my food and
And for a lot of
I
people, just
m-
may take
I
more
make
time.
a little mix with salt and a couple of things in my water. What do you think, Dr. Kiltz?
Yeah, I rarely get cramps. Sometimes I get cramps. I usually do a little stretching, massage, and it's gone. Um, I don't know that I could correlate it with or without salt or or electrolytes. I mean, I think in our evolution, we weren't saying, "Hey, you got your electrolytes today?" I mean, I'm a salt guy. I think we did evolve on salt in some way, but maybe that's more modern in our evolution and less ancient in our hunting. But I think
And
salt
very
was part of our meat for preservation for sure.
very often when I see someone with cramps, one of the first thing I ask them is, "Are you drinking sodas? Are you drinking caffeine? Are you having
Coffee.
a lot of coffee?" Because those are sort of dehydrating liquids rather than hydrating. When when you drink coffee, you probably need to compensate with additional water, and so it could be a problem with things that you didn't think about, like coffee or even regular sodas, sugary or diet, doesn't matter. That could be. And sometimes some people have cramps when they are ramping up exercise, walking, jogging, or doing anything. Out of exhaustion, the muscle may cramp. But anyways, we have an explanation. Oh, have you ever had any memory problems or improvements?
When I was a kid, I was extremely scatterbrained. My dad used to get mad at me because I would do something and then move on to something else. I would lose tools and I'd lose parts and all that. And when I was in school, it was always a struggle because I'd forget homework, I'd forget books or whatever. But ever since high school, I haven't been like that. The only time I'll have memory problems if I'm super stressed, if I'm dealing with the problem, dealing with difficult people. But normally in my normal life, I remember everything. I can remember where I put something. I've taken things apart and 10 years later, remember how to put it together. So my memory seems to be pretty good.
Can someone without a gallbladder do carnivore, Doc or Rick?
I don't see why not. My old friend, he had his gallbladder removed 20 years, and then later on he had heart, bypass. He was eating carnivore and near the end and didn't seem to hurt him. The only thing that messed him up is he refused to exercise. And I kept telling him, if you want to be like me, not only you got to eat like me, you got to move like me as much as you can.
So movement, motion, creativity, do something, go to work, build something. Exercise, I don't agree with technically, but since we're not building things or creating things or hunting things, you got to move, and we call it exercise.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
you have to move. That's the key thing. When
Yes.
you compare today's life to even, I mean, just think, even just 200 years ago, we didn't have airplanes, we didn't have automobiles. You wanted to go 5 miles away, it would be a whole day's trek most of the time, either walking or if you had a horse. If you wanted
Bicycle.
to have a house, you had to most of the time build it yourself or gather
Right.
the community to help you build it. Our level of activity was much higher. You wanted to eat, very often you had to go hunting. You didn't have this big box supermarkets. You didn't have fruit around 24/7, 365 days, right? So our
I
level of activity today is way less than before.
go build something. Have any women shrunk uterine fibroids? The answer is yes. This is from Instagram. Milk is kitchen. I believe that going carnivore, and if you really look at the list of goitrogenic foods, these are all the toxins that basically cause tumors, cysts, fibroids, and cancer in every organ system of our body. So, this idea that plants are good for us, they're good for us because we make money when you get sick, and it's good for us. So keep at it.
I have started myself when I see a car asking themselves, what would Rick do? What would Rick say? Disgusting. All
Duck
right,
food.
we have an explanation for the chest food. It it was a cheat food. What they mean, they meant.
Oh, well,
Why
that's
would you ever
easy.
cheat?
Ribeye steak.
Well, you already established you don't snack, and you know you eat, get full, stop eating until you're hungry, and
And
there is no need to
the other
eat
thing,
in.
the other thing I've noticed about me is that I'm different than a lot of other people. Like, for example, I do ride a bicycle to save on fuel. Plus, my car is unreliable. I get tired of pushing my truck or van. And most of the people I know that ride, they constantly drink something. And usually, what I'll do, I don't really drink that much water except when it's hot. When the weather's cool, I drink almost none. So, and I don't snack. So if we go for a ride together, I take nothing with me. They all have water bottles, they have snacks and all that. And I'll go 10, 20 miles or whatever, and I don't even think about it. And then if I need water, I'll find some water fountain or I'll find something at the park and have that. But most of the time, I don't even drink water. So I never understood the whole snacking. And I tell everybody it's like a duck. I say snacking leads to quacking. So if you're going to snack all the time, you're going to be breathing hard and waddling around. And, that's kind of what I think, but that's just my opinion.
This is for you, Dr. Kills. Go ahead.
Yeah, grandma. Let's see. Granddaughter's carnivore 2 months, having menstrual cycle for the past 5 weeks. Will not stop this. She need to go. Yes, she needs to go see a doctor. Go get a check. See what's going on. And she's going through the shifting and changes potentially, but endometriosis, endometritis. She could have cervical polyps. She could have uterine polyps. She could have fibroids. She could have PCOS and ovulation. Get a check. Go to a doctor for sure. Oh, you had that. Sorry. Go.
I have Don Smith. I have suffered 2 strokes shortly after having root canals. Have you seen the documentary called Rooted? It speaks about strokes and cancer after
I
dental
remember that.
work, like root canals. And I think this connection is not new. I mean, I think uh, a lot of gum disease seems to be an associated risk for cardiovascular disease in general. What do you think, Dr. Kiltz?
Yeah, well, it's the root of all disease is often the diseases in the mouth, but it's just a picture of what's going on in the gut and the rest of the body anyway. So the association is really inflammation, but a root canal kind of sends out all these inflammatory particles, including the microbes that are likely also responsible for vascular damage and acute and chronic inflammation. And so I think absolutely, which gets down to you're not eating Rick's ribeye steak on a regular basis.
You had a comment. You had a comment up before. What was it?
I don't remember which one it was.
It was from Facebook. Do you ever get harassed when harvesting the eggs, ducks, and iguanas?
Very rarely, because most of the time the people around here hate the iguanas because they go and they get in their swimming pool and they eat their plants and they poop everywhere. And the ducks the same way. They don't like having the ducks around because they start pooping and they can be aggressive. I've had people that started feeding the ducks, and next thing you know, the ducks are at their front door every day. And if you don't pay attention to them, they come right in. One lady, the duck came in her house, flew around, pooped everywhere. It was a disaster. So they're usually happy to see me pick them up. And when they call me up and they say, we have a duck problem, okay, and they'll pay me whatever per duck, and I'll round them up and I'll bring them to my house. And the iguanas, a lot of times I just go there with a crossbow, usually towards when it's dark, and I can hide there over there by the bushes and shoot them. And then I get my bag and put them inside. But another place I go to in Coral Gables, they actually want to pay me to go there. So I'll hang out over there in their big home and shoot the iguanas, and then I can get a load of them, get a bag. So I've never had a problem. And the eggs, people have looked, but no one's ever said anything. I think the idea of picking up eggs from the side of a canal or under a bush is scary to a lot of people. I did have one lady ask me, says, "What is that?" I said, "Those are duck eggs. You want one?" And she's like, "Ew, no," and kept on walking. So I really haven't had a lot of problems.
Teabag 4778 on Instagram. My friend has stage 3 kidney disease. Could a carnivore diet help her? She has been told no due to the high protein intake. Is this true?
Studies are conflicting, and there seems to be more evidence lately. And when I say lately, I'm talking 20 years at least. No, that it does not seem to hurt, but to help.
Help. Yeah.
So
I had a friend call me yesterday that said to me, "Oh, I've got." I said, "Oh, you should go carnivore," and he said, "Oh, I can't do that. I have kidney disease, stage 3, and I have gout." And I said, "Oh, you've been brainwashed," and that is actually the opposite. You should go carnivore for fatty meat. And rare to raw is the very best thing to eat and improve that. So yes, but high protein is not what we want to eat. We want to consume a high fat diet. Fat is the building blocks of our body. It is anti-inflammatory, but it should be rare to raw fat, not rendered fat. So that's kind of really important thing people need to realize, that there's something called protein poisoning. Is there something called fat poisoning?
no.
Except if you're a cow. If you eat a high-fat diet, you die. The microbes in the gut are killed, and they can't survive without those microbes.
And it's interesting because when you study, and I'm not a vet, but when you study cows and their digestion and their 4-chamber stomachs, they eat grass, but what they ingest going from their gut into their bloodstream and their system, it's actually protein and fat, because they have converted that grass, and they have what they need to digest the cellulose, and we're not built to digest that stuff. That's why it comes out on the other end. But they actually ingest or bring into their system the fat and protein, not the fiber. They are able to digest it.
But I wonder, though, if we're scientifically incorrect. Nobody eats. The only sugar we eat is processed plants to make sugar, and so we know what sugar looks like. We know what fat looks like, but ultimately we're eating cells of either plants or animals, and every cell contains fatty acids, amino acids, and sugars or glycans. And so even when we eat meat, we're just, most of us are eating a low fat diet, but we're getting proteins and sugars when we eat lean meat, because the cells contain amino acids and sugars in them. So
much different proportions, though.
Well, obviously, because the really fat only comes from animals in any significance. Right. There is no such thing as plant fats. There's plant oil, which is industrial produced, all of it.
Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to dry brine my sirloin for the first time. Hope it turns out good.
I've got a comment from Kilt's Mighty Tribe. And this is from Helen B. Don't they feed prisoners a ton of carbs and desserts to keep them subdued? The standard American Australian diet is perhaps designed to keep people, I say domesticated, she wrote subdued, so people do not revolt against the government, complain too much, as they have with brain fog, metabolic illness, along with TV technology such as computers, game, mobile phones, etc. So maybe it's our technology that is partly to blame in all this, in our marketing marvel. But we've been fed a plant-based diet to domesticate us, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know about that because all the people I know that are plant-based are crazy. They tend to be emotional and they're kind of difficult to deal with. Now, the one thing about them, they're easier to control because all you got to do is stimulate their emotions and you can lead them anywhere you want. So if you say, "Oh, I support this or that political candidate," they blow up. Someone says, "Oh, I like Trump." I'm like, "No, I like this guy." I'm like, "Oh, come on. I don't care for all of them. They're all a bunch of crooks. I don't
But
listen
they're
to anything they say."
but they're domesticated. They're
Yeah, that's
controllable. They are, because I can convince them. I can sell them anything, and it's called
right.
propaganda and marketing,
And no one can sell me anything. I'm immune to advertising.
mostly.
Uh,
100%.
Rebecca Bafry, we had a very nice conversation yesterday in the afternoon about sleep hygiene. Thank you, Rebecca, for being here this morning. Catching you doing an early morning study session before taking my kids to school. Don't forget #Charger. We're giving away a Kills Keto's Carnivore book. Uh, what is that, Rick?
Oh, that's my phone.
Yeah,
See?
no, I know.
I use rotary phones mostly. I don't use a cell phone.
You probably give that to a 15-year-old nowadays, and they have no idea what that is.
Well, you should see what happened when one of my friend's sons tried to use the payphone out front. That was really fun. After 15 minutes, he couldn't figure it out. And I've had other kids, try to use the rotary phone and they don't know what to do. They had to look it up online.
Do you eat fish from the canal?
No, I generally don't because the canals here are kind of questionable. I mean, I have in the past. I try to get my fish from the ocean. I figured that's a little bit better, but who knows? There's so much pollution out here. It's loaded with plastics and I don't know what else. It's really a shame because I do like seafood and there are some big fish in the canal, but I generally don't eat them.
I don't eat fish. It stinks, and it's contaminated, all of it. And chicken too. I'll go for my beef. It's best.
I love parking lot chicken. I love it.
That's your pasture-raised chicken, right? Right.
Well, they run wild around here and people get mad. They're digging up their yards. I got to get rid of these stupid chickens, and then the roosters keep them up at night. So I eat them.
Well, animals run wild. Wait a minute. Aren't they supposed to be wild? Isn't that nature?
Well, people are spoiled. They don't want any inconvenience. They don't want any leaves falling off the trees. They don't want any animals running around. And I'm the opposite. My yard is a jungle, and I'll eat whatever is edible. The iguana comes and eats my plants. I'm going to eat it, iguana.
I'm being reported for my mailbox being ugly.
Oh, you must live in one of those stupid HOA neighborhoods. I would never live in a place like that. I would rather live next to the most rundown trailer park and a scrap yard than have to deal with that nonsense.
It is crazy. And
We
I've had to clean my roof because my roof was dirty. I'm like, isn't a roof just naturally have dirt on it?
My roof is covered with plants. That's how bad it is.
we need someone to open up a carnivore buffet. I've been saying this to my husband. The more I think
Yeah.
about this, I think it's a loser. I mean, if you open a restaurant, you got to make money. I don't know if it's a moneymaker. I mean, I would go and see. What do you think, Rick?
Well,
Is
I
it
don't
gonna be
know.
a good business?
I'd like to open one. I'd like to open one that looked like the old Sweden House smorgasbord, but would be only meat. Of course, I would add some plant material in there too, just to keep people entertained. But it would be meat based, and you'd have the special of the day. Could be duck, could be iguana, could be who knows.
Some nice fried tostones in fat.
Beef tallow.
Ashley McMullen. I'm looking at getting wild meats. Why do carnivores stick to just cow?
It's just convenient. I mean, I eat wild meats whenever I get my hands on it.
We girls, Juliet Marie says, will be taller if we didn't grow up watching our calories and avoiding red meat and fat. Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag Charger. Don't forget, people.
Well, let's see. So, what is obviously we know the demand for carnivore is increasing, but ultimately it's still a small proportion of the economy. And it's go at it. I mean, I always looking for a steak restaurant. There's a great restaurant, kind of under the. It was sort of under the sidewalk, pretty much in Sydney. I missed it, but you have to give them the phone. They put it in a box. You can't have it, and they make just a big T-bone or porterhouse. That's it. They have a tallow candle that melts, and you get to dip your bread in it. So it's bread and beef, and that's it. It's kind of interesting, but it looked like a beautiful cut of meat, and the way they cooked it was charred the way I love it, and black and blue.
I've eaten a lot of raw meat in my life as well as raw liver, so I don't like any meat that's charred.
I'm a raw meat guy. Raw meat, black and blue.
I don't even like it charred. I like the meat just lightly cooked. That's just the way I like it.
Yeah, I like that charred, butter, salt. Oh,
I never ever salt beef ever.
Yeah, I still think salt is part of our evolution. We're salters.
I hardly use any. I even make my own salt.
How do you make your own salt?
From groundwater down in the Keys. I take the salty groundwater and evaporate it in stainless steel trays.
And where can we buy that?
I don't know.
Not yet, right, Nick?
Yeah, that's it.
Does Rick drink a certain amount of water/liquid?
It's variable. I can go a whole day. It depends on the weather. If we get our rare 14 days of good weather here where it's not hot, I may drink almost none, maybe 1 glass of water, and that's it. But when it's hot, it can be a gallon or more. It all depends on the temperature. I don't drink that much compared to other people I know. That's the interesting thing.
Rebecca
Well,
likes.
how much air do you breathe a day?
No idea.
Do you measure it?
Nope.
No, right. It's sort of like there's a right answer, and we're all looking for what do I do? How many breaths should I have in a minute? Right? It's sort of like you're alive. We're drinking way too much fluids, and we're drinking too many fluids that aren't meant to be consumed.
Are we meant to have this semi-liquid? Do you eat ice cream?
Yuck, I hate it.
I love it. From time to time. And butter too. But we're truly not meant to consume milk products past breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
Is a car dangerous to drive?
Depends on the driver.
Or the other driver?
Yeah. Well, you cannot control the other drivers, and that is probably a big risk. Even if you drive defensively all the time, other people may not.
Yep, that's why I drive big vehicles.
Older vehicles with a lot more metal.
My newest one is a 1998, so.
What brand of salt do you recommend? Does it matter?
I make my own. I don't have a brand.
I love Malden, and I love that other one that's good is Baja Gold. But there's so many local salts, and I think Rick's right. We should be. I remember I lived in Los Angeles, grew up in Southern California, down in the back bay of Newport Harbor, there was a salt evaporating operation, and it was really cool. And it's
Hmm.
like, we should be consuming more of that. So down in Siesta Key, that their the locals sell salt. It's kind of good.
Hmm.
Again, local, make it
Yeah.
yourself. Go ahead, Nelson.
Yeah, looking for questions here. If uh, Charger Mopar is his YouTube channel, right? Are you on any other
Yes.
platforms?
No, I'm the oddball. I mean, I don't do social media. I think it's a waste of time. It's just a place where people advertise. Every time you go on social media, you have all these AI bot women that are trying to get you to send them money. So I thought it was kind of stupid. So I avoid it. I do YouTube because I started YouTube in 2007. I used to be on Facebook, but I kind of abandoned it. So no, I don't. I don't really do any other sites.
Well, we we did that one already.
Well, it's an interesting, at least in what we're doing in working to share an idea. Social media is the power for people more so than anything.
Yeah,
Anyone can get on there, share their stories, and learn something that you really have very few other places that you could learn this quite easily. And finding people like yourself to share your story, I think was one of the game changers of our world today.
I agree.
But you're right about something. All this, the social media. I mean, the past 5, 10 years, this has been an incredible growth, right? Uh, Facebook came out in the first decade of the 2000. It's all about advertising how much money. That's what drives.
Yes.
Even if people don't realize it, or I go to TikTok or whatever, Instagram, just to scroll and look at things. What's driving all of that is the advertising and the money. You know, their businesses all built around that.
Well, you see that with a lot of people. Look at all these vegans that are always trying to sell their stupid vegan coaching program, how to eat garbage and survive. You can live on duck food. And then you have all the people here in
That's a
Miami
good
that rent
title.
these. Yeah,
So we have to share our stupid carnivore diet ideas.
I don't know. They work pretty good for some of us, but I'll tell you, I see all these people on, YouTube. They come here to Miami, they rent some overpriced black, white, and gray no way condo, and then they act like they make all this money every month, and they rent some piece of garbage Lamborghini or one of those other exotic piles of junk, and then they go and they'll take steroids and try to look big, and they say, "I'm going to attract all the women and make all the money," and blah blah blah. And it's a bunch of nonsense. And I know too many of these younger people that constantly fall for this stuff. I said, look, if these people were really making that kind of money, you think they'd be out there trying to market it to you? I mean, seriously, it doesn't work that way. But they don't listen to me. Rick, you're poor. You got nothing. You're living in a broken down house, driving junky cars that you have to push half the time, spend most of your time on a bicycle, and you have to do everything yourself. Like, yeah, but for somebody that's going to be 57 soon, I think I'm doing pretty well. But yeah, it's all that marketing. And I just don't know why people fall for it. I guess, like you said, they don't have the right diet. They can't think for themselves.
Domesticated. The pharaohs, the Egyptians figured out long ago, feed them bread and beer and they'll do anything for you. And that's what we're doing today, which is, selling massive products that we don't need.
Like the Romans bred in circus.
By the way, you mentioned the Egyptians. Uh, Probably one of the earliest instances of atherosclerosis has been found in Egyptians' mummies. They were big
You know,
weed
I
growers.
I got a question for you now. Obviously, I invented Rick's heart attack diet to get a heart attack because of that Time magazine article in like 84. But with a blood pressure of 90/60, when you have low blood pressure like I do, are you at higher or lower risk of a heart attack?
Oh, definitely lower, because it's a multifactorial thing, and we do have arguments about what starts the whole chain, but the blood pressure compounds it. Uh, when it's high, that's where you develop most of the plaques at the areas of highest turbulence inside the tubing.
Right. Always on the high side, never on the veins.
Yeah. Uh, my phone cut off the L. I thought it read crumbled in a ball. Oh, okay. She's talking about rotor phone. Do you remember party lines? By the way, someone wanted
Oh,
to know
yes.
where you were in Miami or near Miami, right?
I'm in Miami. I'm in Westwood Lakes. It's just west of Miami.
Yeah. Do you remember party lines?
Oh, yes, I do. Listening to other people, you pick up the phone and listen to what they're saying.
Yeah. You don't remember that, Dr. Kills, right?
No, I don't. They
Okay.
didn't have phones when I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to my uncle worked for the phone company, and back in this was in the 60s, and I used to love getting old phones and hooking up my own phone line in my closet.
Yep.
And one day the phone guy came to the house to fix the phone, and he found my phone and he took it because they
Yeah.
owned the phones. You
Mhm.
couldn't own a phone.
I had a rigged up intercom between my friend 2 houses down with these phones and a battery,
Yeah.
and we used to call each other all the time. We had one of those things you crank to ring the phone. It was fun.
Question about oxalate dumping.
Go ahead.
Well, if you look at Sally Norton's book on toxic superfoods, that essentially we're plant-based diet, which is back to all these goitrogens, contain things like oxalates, phytates, lectins. Phytohemagglutinins are oxalates, lectins, and others. And basically, we're getting a lot of these things. Now, I'm not sure I agree with completely that when you lower your oxalate intake, when you go carnivore, you may then start to dump these things, which causes more damage and pain and disease. I'm not sure I agree with that completely. So they recommend consuming some low oxalate substances to sort of replenish them again. So I don't know if you have any other comments on that, Dr. Nelson or Rick, but I think that it's I don't agree with it completely, but I think definitely oxalates, phytates, lectins, and all these things are in the plants are working to protect the plants and control or kill us.
Amy, and it's almost 7, by the way. Amy has a comment. My mom was diagnosed with ALS after 4 root canals. That's interesting. Died 2 years later at 55.
Well, the association is always going to be that our diets that cause ALS and heart disease and cause dental problems are all sort of related. And a root canal kind of stirs up the bugs and may sort of send out this inflammation and add to it. But it's always hard to say which was the real cause of the problem, but it's still probably back to our diet is the problem. Look at Weston Price also. He talks a lot about this in the Weston Price Society, talks a lot about it, but I think they're all related for sure.
Hashtag charger. If you haven't done that, please do that. We're giving away a Kilts uh, Keto
Book.
is Carnivore book, and I don't like. We have over 200 people here, probably more than that from all the sources.
Well, you got 200 there. I got 20 currently on Instagram, and I got 20 currently on Kilt's Mighty Tribe. So, we're in the 250 range. So thank you, everyone, for
And I
being
only see
here.
like 20 some entries, apparently.
Well, it
Anyways,
is what it is today. So I got a 7 o'clock to get to.
okay.
Rick, really
So
a pleasure always seeing you. I
Yes.
can't wait to see you at our next Miami or Florida event for sure. And
If you ever get here.
Dennis Ward, please email Alia at drkilts.com. And you all have a great day. We're traveling today to Tennessee. We'll see you tomorrow. You're gonna be tomorrow there, or
yeah,
are
I'll
you,
be there. I'll be there with you tomorrow, so we can go live. And we have Larry Holt tomorrow morning.
you're traveling
So
today as well?
I'm traveling today, so I'll be there this evening.
Okay, I will be there late. I arrive after 9.
All right,
You have a
everyone.
you have a
All
good
right.
day, everyone.
Yep.
All right, Rick.